Ashes by J.C. Jarrett. Chapter 10. Cabinet. Snow drifted down lazily as the caravan moved higher into the mountains. They had traveled along the route for nearly a week now, stopping at dusk and starting again at first light. The mountain roads were at times treacherous, with a sheer cliff on one side and a wall of stone on the other. At night there was no need to pull from path, since no traffic ran this high up, and if it did, night travel would be a death sentence. Rand and Jana, now dressed covered in fur-lined cloaks with hoods, seemed to always be together since the events of Crimson Hollow. The pair walked side by side, conversing and telling tales of past adventures. Oddly enough, though, was the pairing of Kudan and the rat-faced Rubius walked together most days, several yards behind the pair of Jana and Rand. Yes, just there for the taking, as long as you are brave enough, the rat-faced wizard said to the barbarian, who gave him a look of disbelief in saying he may not be brave. I fear nothing, Kudan said forcefully. Well, I do, so I will pay you very well to get it for me. The barbarian looked at the wizard, surprised of his forthcoming showing fear. And this circlet is just there to take. Totally, the wizard replied. There is just the dead guarding it. The dead, Kudan exclaimed. How can they guard anything? He laughed. These dead still walk and hate the living. That's what I fear. But someone as large and powerful as you. He left his sentence unfinished, letting the barbarian complete in his own mind. Rubius is not only an accomplished wizard, but he is also a very good manipulator. How much you pay? The barbarian asked. Though he did not care much for gold or wealth, he did like women and drink, and both took coin. Reaching to his belt, the wizard shook a leather bag that jingled with coins. 500 golden talons, he said with a wicked grin. Rand glanced over his shoulder at the strange pair of wizard and barbarian. What could they have in common? He said, pulling Jana's blue eye his way. Maybe it is their differences that have them together. You know, stranger things have happened, she said with a knowing smile toward him. Rand and Jana had been spending more and more time together, and even those unfamiliar with the pair could see the sparks between them. The budding friendship, though, between the barbarian and the wizard, was very unexpected, and for Rand a bit worrisome. He feared that the wizard may try to manipulate the naive Kudan. Even though a powerful warrior and a true friend, he has not learned in the world beyond deserts of his birthright. Kudan had not been long in the lands of Tal. He was sent out of the deserts by a shaman of his Dune tribe after a vision that he had a great role to play in the north, to stop an evil from filling the land. Rand had happened upon the barbarian not long after he ventured into these more civilized lands, finding him trying to gain entry to the town of Court, deep in the south of Tal. The town guard was blocking his entrance, due to the barbarian's appearance. Rand found the man in only a loincloth and camel leather vest, shivering outside the town in the pouring rain, trying to start a fire with wet wood. Rand stopped and took pity on the stranger. He was able to persuade the town guard to let them go beyond the walls of the town. After some hot food and Rand helping the barbarian with getting some clothing, the pair became fast friends. For the past year they have traveled together seeking adventure. This is the first time in that year that any wedge has come between them, this one in the form of Jana and now maybe Rubius. Rand, though, could not get the idea that this was all a ploy of the wizard, but he could not put his finger on it. Before night had fallen, the front wall of Cabinet loomed into view, standing over 100 foot tall and nearly 30 foot thick. The front wall was the final defense for the lands below the Empress Mountains. The front line was a nearly identical wall on the other side of the fort town that sat nested between. The town had recently opened a mine, finding a rich vein of Talayan silver, a rare metal that was normally used for armor and weapons that carried magical enchantments. The only other metal that could hold such enchantments was Hyborian steel. Set into the walls in the middle was a large wooden door, with a heavy iron portcullis in front. As the caravan approached, the portcullis rose, and the large wooden doors began to open, allowing the caravan to enter the safety of the fort. The caravan guard was released for the few days that they would be in town for the unloading of goods and reloading of silver ore, for the journey back down the mountain. Most had gathered in the inn, the sign outside reading, the cupboard. So, what stops him from going after this circlet? Rand said, a little puzzled, to the barbarian, as they sat around a small round table with Janna.
Fear of the dead, the large man answered.
The dead? Both Janna and Rand said in unison. Yes, the wizard said that the dead walk the halls of the old monastery. I don't know, Kudan. That is some dark magic to raise the dead. Maybe it would be best to let this job go, Rand said. Though he was not afraid to go, he felt it seemed like a huge risk for nothing but a few hundred golden talons. Golden talons being the currency of the realm. Though valuable, and a small fortune that would keep a person in housing and food for years, it sounded like the risk was not worth the reward. The dead was far too dangerous. Look, Rand began, then took a deep breath. He knew this was going to be hard on his barbarian friend. Look, Janna and I are going to take our pay, and maybe try to find a quiet place. Janna had reached out and took Rand's hand. Maybe start a family, he finished, looking deep into Janna's ice-blue eyes. Come with us, she said to the huge Kudan. Kudan looked to his longtime companion and felt betrayal from Rand and a bit of jealousy toward Janna. He did not want to go and live in a quiet place. He wanted adventure. He wanted to find his destiny. No, he said with more forcefulness than he expected to come out, bringing the attention of a few of the patrons seated around the inn's common room. I will go alone then, the barbarian said bluntly. Rubius watched as the barbarian placed his hands on the table and stood as if to leave. He had put the wheels of this plan in motion to get his revenge on Janna for her rejection, and Rand for his threats. The wizard sat 2 tables away, hiding under an invisibility spell, watching the drama play out. He smiled to himself. If they manage to get the circlet for him, at least one of them is more than likely to die. Just as the barbarian was told the dead were dangerous. If they failed, then they would all die. But his plan was not going to work if the barbarian went alone. Then came the words he so wanted to hear. Don't be that way, Rand said to the towering barbarian. He then looked at Janna, who nodded her agreement. Janna said to the angry man. Nobody saw the invisible Rubius's smile grow even larger at the words he so wanted to hear. The next 3 days passed far too quickly for the caravan guard, and were soon to be back on the trail. Over the last few days, Rand and Janna had become inseparable, spending nearly every minute together. Kudan seemed to have become more accepting of this, and even was beginning to like the young woman. The barbarian and the wizard were still spending time conversing, but during this downtime, it would seem that the wizard had also made a new friend. Rand and Janna sat at the same small table, both with a plate of ham and eggs. As Rand tossed the last bite of his breakfast in his mouth, he noticed Rubius sitting with a well-dressed man at the largest table in the common room. The man was in a well-tailored coat with large lapels of the deepest purple. His shirt was smooth black flowing silk, and finely made pants went into high-polished tall black leather boots. Who's that, I wonder? Rand asked of Janna, who turned to look at the man appraisingly. I believe he owns the mine here, she answered, while still looking at the man. So let me get this straight, Rubius. With this I can not only raise the dead, but control them as well? The well-dressed man asked of the wizard. D. Crystal, the wizard replied. Please call me Alistair, the well-dressed man said with a smile. So no breaks, no food, no sleep, and no complaining. D. Crystal's voice trailed off as he became tangled in his own thoughts. My mines would be nearly all profit. This would be the greatest operation ever. And what do you want for this item? Alistair asked the wizard. I want to be your partner. I will work and control your mine force for 20%. Rubius said with confidence. 20. If you can produce this circlet, then we will see. We will see. Alistair D. Crystal said to the wizard as he stood, straightening his well-made clothes. How do you plan on getting it? Oh, I have a plan in place as we speak, the wizard responded as he watched the barbarian Kudan take a seat with Rand and Janna. A very good plan.